A Boston winter morning begins with a biting chill. Eleanor Williams gazed at the falling snow through her apartment window while taking a sip of warm coffee. She cherished these quiet mornings. They were the only time of day that truly belonged to her. The living room, lined with vintage bookshelves, was neatly arranged with numerous books she had edited. 12 years as a senior editor at Boston's established publishing house, Harbor Books, Eleanor had built a solid reputation in the literary world. She specialized in historical novels and memoirs, and her work frequently received high praise from critics. The phone rang, and Eleanor sighed. There was only one person who would call at this hour on a Sunday morning. "Eleanor, are you awake?" Her mother Martha's voice came through the phone, carrying the refined tone of the upper middle class. "Yes, of course, Mother." "Wonderful. I have important news." Martha couldn't hide her excitement. "We've decided to go to Florida. A lovely resort in Cocoa Beach. The whole family." Eleanor frowned. "The whole family?" "Yes. Your father and I, Victoria and Richard, and of course Lily. And you." Martha didn't mention her son Michael, who lived in London and rarely attended family gatherings. "When is this happening?" Eleanor was already thinking of excuses. "Next week. Tuesday through Saturday. 4 nights, 5 days." Eleanor groaned inwardly. "Mother, I have work. I'm in the middle of an important project right now." "It's always work with you." Martha's voice carried a slight tone of reproach. "You should value family time too. We don't have that many opportunities to spend time together." Emotional manipulation, Eleanor thought. It was her mother's specialty. Martha was actively involved in local charity work and social clubs, always concerned about the Williams family reputation. She was particularly troubled by her eldest daughter being single at her age. "I'll think about it," Eleanor answered vaguely. "Victoria is looking forward to it," Martha added, pressing her advantage. "Lily is so excited to see you." At the mention of her 7-year-old niece, Eleanor's heart softened. Truth be told, she had a soft spot for her niece. Though her relationship with Victoria had been competitive since childhood and remained complicated, such tensions didn't affect innocent Lily. "All right. I'll make it work," Eleanor finally gave in. "But I might have to do some work while I'm there." "Oh, that's fine," Martha said triumphantly. "I've already made the reservations. I'll email you the details." After hanging up, Eleanor stared out the window. The snow was falling even harder now. Victoria's life had taken a very different path from Eleanor's. She had succeeded as an influencer in the beauty industry and married Richard, a wealthy real estate investor. Her Instagram posts portraying a perfect family life had garnered hundreds of thousands of followers. Their parents, especially Martha, were proud of Victoria and occasionally suggested that Eleanor should live more like Victoria. Eleanor opened her laptop and returned to editing the manuscript with an approaching deadline. She tried to concentrate, but couldn't get the Florida trip out of her mind. Spending time with family always evoked complicated emotions for her. She was particularly troubled by the gap between her parents' expectations and reality. Though she was used to being treated as the odd one in the family, occasionally a desire for acceptance emerged from deep within her. But she was proud of the path she had chosen, career-oriented, valuing her own time, and not being swayed by others' expectations. Facing the manuscript with its looming deadline, Eleanor took a deep breath. She had earned her editor-in-chief's trust, and the success of this manuscript would be an important step in her career. And then, a few days later, everything changed with a call from the publishing house. The deadline for an important manuscript had been moved up. The reason was a change in the author's overseas promotion tour schedule. The new deadline was set, ironically, right in the middle of the Florida trip. After agonizing over whether to cancel the pre-booked family trip, Eleanor decided to bring her laptop and work while participating. She didn't want to disappoint her parents. And honestly, she wanted to see her niece Lily too. "I can make this work," Eleanor reassured herself. Florida's dazzling sunlight streamed through the window as Eleanor opened her heavy eyelids. The room at the Cocoa Beach Resort combined luxury and comfort. After arriving late yesterday, she had gone to sleep without much chance to check her surroundings. Getting out of bed and stepping onto the balcony, she caught her breath at the blue Atlantic Ocean spread before her. The sound of waves echoed quietly, and the fresh morning air touched her skin. Eleanor thought this might be a good place to get work done after all. Looking at the clock, she saw it was already past 8. Breakfast with the family was at 8:30. She hurriedly showered, changed into a casual but elegant summer dress, and opened her laptop. She wanted to get some work done before breakfast. Just as she began reviewing the manuscript, there was a knock at the door. Opening it, she found her mother Martha standing there. "Good morning, Eleanor. Are you ready?" Martha glanced around her daughter's room, frowning at the open laptop. "You're not planning to start working, are you?" "Good morning, Mother. I'm just checking something," Eleanor said calmly. "You should enjoy your vacation. Value this family time," Martha said admonishingly. "Everyone's already waiting at the restaurant." Closing her laptop, Eleanor followed her mother. The hotel restaurant was open and bright, with large windows overlooking the beach. Her father George, sister Victoria, brother-in-law Richard, and niece Lily were already seated at the table. "Eleanor?" Lily called out happily. The small girl jumped down from her chair and ran to Eleanor. "Good morning, Lily." Eleanor hugged her niece and lightly kissed her hair. "You've grown so much." "Good morning, big sister," Victoria smiled, sweeping her perfect blonde hair back. She was wearing an Instagram-worthy summer dress with large sunglasses perched on top of her head. "Finally joining us?" "Sorry I'm late," Eleanor said as she took her seat. In reality, she was right on time, but Victoria always tried to assert dominance by making others feel late. Breakfast proceeded cordially on the surface. George talked about his retirement hobby of fishing, and Martha shared success stories from local charity events. When the topic shifted to Victoria, she proudly began talking about her latest social media campaign contract with a cosmetics brand. "Isn't it amazing? My followers increased by 100,000 just last month. Companies are looking for authentic influencers like me now." "That's wonderful, Victoria," Martha said proudly. "Your talent is truly special." "Thank you, Mom," Victoria smiled with satisfaction. Richard's connections helped too. She placed her hand on her husband's arm. Richard nodded smugly, saying, "Business is all about connections." His voice always carried an overconfident tone. "So, Eleanor," Martha turned to her eldest daughter. "How's work going? Are you editing any interesting books?" Eleanor brightened a little. "Yes, actually, I'm handling a new work by an author who was previously nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. It's a historical novel about books," Victoria interrupted. "Aren't paper books outdated these days?" "Victoria," Eleanor said quietly. "Literature is?" "Oh, Eleanor," Martha cut in this time. "True success comes from having a family. You should really consider." A heavy silence fell over the table. Eleanor inhaled sharply and looked at Lily. The little girl was listening to the adult conversation with an anxious expression. "What are the plans for today?" Eleanor changed the subject. "We'll spend the day at the beach," Martha answered. "We can't waste this wonderful weather." After breakfast, the family returned to their rooms to prepare for the beach. Eleanor immediately opened her laptop and focused on work upon returning to her room. They were scheduled to meet in the lobby in an hour. As she was immersed in editing the manuscript, there was another knock at the door. This time it was Victoria. She was already dressed in a bikini with a cover-up over it, holding a beach bag. "Eleanor, I need to talk to you," she entered the room. "Richard just got an urgent call and I have to join an online meeting. It's about a big deal apparently." And Eleanor couldn't read her sister's intentions. "And," Victoria paused slightly. "It's about Lily." Eleanor frowned. Is something wrong with Lily? I can't take her to the beach. I'll be in a meeting, and Richard says he's going golfing. So you want me to watch her? Eleanor instinctively understood. Yes. Victoria said brightly. You're staying at the hotel anyway, right? You said you had work to do. But I have a deadline. At this moment, Martha and George entered the room. What are you discussing? Martha asked. Victoria explained the situation, and Martha nodded understandingly. Then Eleanor should look after Lily. But mother, I have important work too. Your family, so cooperate. Martha's voice became stern. That's right, Eleanor, Father George agreed. Spending time with your niece is important too. Eleanor tried to object, but Victoria laughed and said, that's what family is for. Free of charge, of course. This is for Victoria to have a break. Martha placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. Raising children is difficult. You wouldn't understand, of course. Eleanor was speechless. It was always like this. Her opinions and time were consistently the least valued in the family. Fine, Eleanor said resignedly. I'll stay with Lily. Thank you, big sister. Victoria made a gesture like blowing a kiss. Lily, be very clear about your behavior. If you're quiet, everything will be fine. And then they left. Only Lily remained in the room. The little girl stood there in her small swimsuit, holding a large stuffed animal. Eleanor looked at her laptop screen, then at Lily. Well, Lily, Eleanor smiled gently. What would you like to do while I work? Lily answered in a small voice. Mom said I should be quiet. Eleanor's heart ached at those words. Despite feeling the pressure of the deadline, she felt uneasy about Lily's unusually subdued behavior. A normal 7-year-old should be more energetic. It's all right, Lily, Eleanor said kindly. You can do whatever you like here. However, Lily just sat silently beside Eleanor, quietly watching her work. In the quiet room, Eleanor began to feel uncomfortable with only the sound of her keyboard tapping. Though trying to focus on her laptop screen, she couldn't help but notice Lily's small figure at the edge of her vision. The 7-year-old girl sat on the edge of the bed, hugging a large stuffed animal, just silently watching Eleanor. After an hour passed, Eleanor found herself caught between anxiety about the deadline and guilt about her niece. She took a deep breath and closed her laptop. Lily, I'm going to take a break, Eleanor smiled. Would you like something to drink? Lily nodded slightly. I like orange juice. Why don't we go to the cafeteria? Eleanor suggested. We could have ice cream too. Lily's eyes widened a bit, but quickly returned to a worried expression. But Mom will be angry. Why? Because ice cream makes you fat. Mom says I need to look thin for the Instagram photos. Eleanor felt a tightness in her chest. Today is special, she said gently. Let's keep it our secret. Lily's expression brightened slightly. Really? Of course, Eleanor took her niece's small hand. Let's go. The hotel cafeteria was relatively empty in the morning. Eleanor ordered a chocolate ice cream sundae for Lily and an iced coffee for herself. Lily initially held her spoon hesitantly, but after the first bite, her eyes lit up. Delicious. Right? Eleanor smiled. You can eat as much as you like. I don't usually get to eat things I like this much, Lily said in a small voice. The words pierced Eleanor's heart. What do you usually do with your mother? Eleanor carefully asked. Lily thought for a moment, her spoon still stuck in the ice cream. We take a lot of pictures. Pictures? Yes. For Mom's Instagram. I wear cute clothes and pose in different ways. Lily explained matter-of-factly. Eleanor recalled Victoria's social media account, with numerous photos tagged #perfectmother-daughter time and #lifewithmybelovedchild. There were indeed many pictures of perfectly dressed Lily posing with a smile. Is it fun? Eleanor asked quietly. If I'm not smiling, we have to do it again, Lily answered, lowering her gaze. We take pictures over and over. My feet hurt. Eleanor gently stroked Lily's hair. What would you like to do today? Something fun. Really? Lily's eyes shone with hope. Can I watch TV? Eleanor was surprised by such a simple wish. Of course. Let's watch your favorite shows. After finishing the ice cream, they returned to the room. Eleanor gave Lily the remote control and reopened her laptop. However, she couldn't concentrate on work. Whenever Lily's laughter echoed through the room, Eleanor looked up to watch her niece. Lily, absorbed in children's cartoons, looked like a normal 7-year-old to Eleanor. But there was something unnatural about her words and previous behavior. Too obedient, constantly watching adults' reactions, suppressing her own desires, that wasn't healthy child behavior. As lunchtime approached, Eleanor ordered room service. While eating sandwiches and fruit, Lily seemed to be gradually relaxing. Do your mom and dad fight a lot? Eleanor carefully asked. Lily froze for a moment but then nodded slightly. Yes. But mom says we have to smile in public. I see, Eleanor said quietly. That must be hard. Do grandma and grandpa only like mom? Lily suddenly asked. The question surprised Eleanor. That's not true, Eleanor replied, though her words lacked conviction. They love everyone in different ways. Lily thought silently. But grandma always calls mom my pride and joy. She doesn't say that about you, Aunt Eleanor. Eleanor was speechless at this sharp observation. Adult relationships are complicated, she finally answered. But everyone loves you very much. Lily said nothing and continued eating her sandwich. In the afternoon, Eleanor tried to make progress with her work, but her anxiety about the deadline grew. Lily was watching TV again, but when the program ended, she quietly came and sat beside Eleanor. I won't disturb you, Lily said in a small voice. Work hard. The words made Eleanor smile despite herself. Thank you, Lily. But you're not disturbing me at all. Mom always says don't disturb me, thought. Eleanor took a deep breath and closed her laptop. Lily, you are never a disturbance. You're important. Lily's eyes moistened. She snuggled closer to Eleanor and placed her small hand on Eleanor's. They sat like that for a while. The room was quiet, with only the distant voices of beachgoers audible from outside the window. And Lily suddenly spoke up. I have a secret. What kind of secret? Eleanor gently asked. Lily looked around. It was as if she feared being overheard. Then she moved closer to Eleanor, about to whisper in her ear. But before the words came out, she hesitated and backed away. It's okay, Lily, Eleanor said quietly. You can tell me anything. Lily took a deep breath and moved back to Eleanor's side. Her small hand tightly gripped Eleanor's. Actually, Lily began in a small voice. Mom said she doesn't want me. Eleanor gasped in shock. What did you say? When Mom and Dad were fighting. Mom said, I never wanted this child in the first place. Tears fell from Lily's eyes. But on Instagram, she calls me her beloved daughter. Isn't that strange? Eleanor was speechless. Anger and sadness swirled within her. She hugged Lily tightly. Lily, listen, Eleanor said in a trembling voice. You are very precious. More valuable than anything in the world. Lily silently buried her face in Eleanor's chest, her small body shaking with sobs. Eleanor stroked her niece's back while feeling a flame of anger burning inside. As the soft evening light began to filter through the curtains into the room, voices and footsteps could be heard in the hallway. Eleanor looked up from her laptop and checked the clock. 5:30. The family seemed to be returning from the beach. Seeing Lily's tense expression as she stared at the door, Eleanor quickly placed her hand on the girl's shoulder. "It's all right, Lily. Don't worry about anything." The girl nodded silently, but anxiety filled her eyes. The door opened, and Victoria appeared with a sunbathed face. She was carrying a luxury brand beach bag and maintained perfect makeup and hair. "We're back," she said in a cheerful voice, but as soon as she entered the room, she took out her smartphone and began checking the screen. "How was it? Did Lily behave?" Victoria finally looked up and asked. "Yes, Lily was very good," Eleanor replied quietly. She tried to appear calm, but Lily's confession had been haunting her. "How was your meeting?" "Oh, it went well," Victoria answered lightly, immediately changing the subject. "The beach was amazing. You should have come with us." Eleanor gave a sardonic smile. "Yes, well, someone had to look after Lily." Victoria ignored the comment and turned to Lily. "Your clothes are dirty. Change immediately." Lily nodded silently and took out clothes from her small suitcase. Eleanor's heart ached at her obedience. "We're going to get ready too," Victoria said. "Dinner is at 7. We've reserved a nice seafood restaurant." As soon as Victoria left the room, Eleanor grabbed her smartphone and checked Victoria's Instagram. There was a photo uploaded today. The timestamp was 2 p.m., when Victoria claimed to be in a meeting. The photo showed Victoria in a swimsuit lying on a beach chair, with the caption "Relaxing between work." #luxury time. Lies. It was all lies. Eleanor struggled to contain her anger. She helped Lily change clothes while taking deep breaths to maintain her composure. "Can you watch her tomorrow too?" Victoria suddenly asked at dinner. The whole family, including Martha, George, and Richard, stared at Eleanor. After a moment of silence, Eleanor calmly replied, "Of course." Seeing the relief spread across Lily's face, Eleanor felt confident in her decision. The next morning, after the family had gone off to their respective plans, Eleanor sat facing Lily. "Lily, let's make today special," she gently suggested. "What would you like to do?" "Really?" Lily's eyes widened. "Anything?" "Anything," Eleanor smiled. That day, they visited the hotel's kids' club, played in the pool, and participated in a children's craft workshop being held in the hotel lobby. Lily's expression brightened over time, showing a genuine smile that Eleanor had never seen before. After lunch, relaxing in a poolside cabana, Lily suddenly began talking. It was too heavy a conversation for a 7-year-old child. The staged daily life for social media. The pressure to pretend to be a perfect family. Being forced to smile in front of the camera while being ignored in reality. And the occasional intense arguments between Victoria and Richard that Lily overheard. "Mom always says, Lily ruined my career," Lily said quietly. Dad yells back, "You're the one who wanted her." Eleanor was at a loss for words. She put her arm around her niece's small shoulders and hugged her tightly. "I'm here for you, Lily," she finally managed to say. "I'll create a place where you'll be cherished, so stay strong until then." Lily nodded silently. There was a light of trust in her eyes. In the afternoon, Eleanor desperately finished the deadline manuscript while constantly keeping an eye on Lily. She sent an email to her editor-in-chief, promising to make additional edits immediately after returning home due to a family emergency. Fortunately, the manuscript was almost complete. After returning to the room, Lily regained her childlike innocence for the first time in a long while, laughing at cartoons and enjoying card games with Eleanor. Each time Eleanor saw her smile, she felt a determination solidifying within her. "Before they come back, I want to tell you," Eleanor knelt in front of Lily and said. "No matter what happens, you're not alone. I'm on your side." Lily looked at Eleanor with a serious expression and nodded slightly. "Promise." "I promise," Eleanor kissed her niece's forehead. In the evening, the door opened, and the sunbathed family returned. Victoria breezed into the room lightly and asked, "How was it?" "No problems?" No problems, Eleanor replied calmly. Beneath her composure lay an iron determination. Good, Victoria exhaled with relief. Tomorrow too, please. I'm going golfing with Mom and Dad. Eleanor looked at Lily. The girl stared back at her and smiled slightly. It was like a secret signal shared only between them. Of course, Eleanor answered. Gladly. While maintaining a calm exterior, she harbored a different determination than before. This short trip was nearing its end, but Eleanor knew it was just the beginning. Martha entered the room and began talking about dinner plans. George boasted about his golf achievements, and Richard checked work emails on his phone. On the surface, nothing seemed to have changed. It was a typical scene from a Williams family vacation. However, the bond formed between Eleanor and Lily had the power to significantly change this family's future. Eleanor quietly looked out the window. A beautiful sunset was setting on the horizon at Cocoa Beach. It felt like both an end to the day and a new beginning. Tomorrow will be even better, she whispered to Lily. Lily nodded with a smile. In her eyes was a light of hope that hadn't been seen for a long time. Boston's autumn is beautiful. The street visible from Eleanor's apartment window was covered with red and yellow leaves. She stood with a warm coffee in hand, in front of a newly renovated room. The walls were painted pastel blue, and a small bed was made with a constellation-patterned comforter. The bookshelf was lined with fairy tales and picture books, and hand-drawn pictures decorated the walls. Lily's room. 3 months had passed since the Florida trip. Eleanor had kept her promise. Immediately after returning home, she began gathering evidence. She recorded conversations with Lily, compiled materials showing the gap between Victoria's social media and the actual home situation, and eventually consulted with child welfare agencies. As a result of the investigation, the court granted Eleanor temporary custody of Lily. Family disgrace. Martha was furious. You've tarnished our reputation. What have you done? George also raged. Taking family problems outside. Victoria and Richard were furious and declared they would never contact Eleanor again. Victoria, whose perfect mother image on social media had crumbled, causing her to lose many followers, became mentally unstable. But Eleanor didn't waver. You should reconsider what family means, she said quietly. True affection is shown through actual actions, not appearances. The doorbell rang, bringing Eleanor back to the present. Opening the door, she found social worker Carol and Lily. Lily was wearing a backpack and looked a bit nervous, but her face lit up when she saw Eleanor. Aunt. She ran forward and hugged Eleanor. Welcome, Lily, Eleanor lifted her niece. Let me show you your room. Carol quietly nodded to Eleanor and said, I'll come check on things next week, before leaving. When Lily entered her new room, her eyes widened. Really, my room? Yes, yours alone, Eleanor smiled. Do you like it? Lily ran to the small desk by the window and touched the art supplies placed there. Can I draw? Of course. You can draw as much as you want. That night, Eleanor tucked Lily into bed. The therapist Angela will come see you tomorrow. She's a very kind person. Is it scary? Lily asked in a small voice. Not at all, Eleanor reassured her. She's just going to help you sort out the feelings in your heart. Will I get to see Mom and Dad? Eleanor carefully chose her words. Definitely someday. But right now, your mom and dad are dealing with their own problems. In reality, Victoria had begun counseling by court order. Though initially resistant, she was gradually beginning to face her issues. Aunt Eleanor, Lily looked up at Eleanor with sleepy eyes. What do you think a real family is? Eleanor kissed her niece's forehead. People who cherish each other and tell each other the truth. Lily smiled contentedly. Yes, and people who never abandon each other no matter what. Eleanor smiled back. Yes, that's exactly right. Outside the window, the city lights began to shine like small stars. It was the beginning of a new chapter.